A concept that I've always found interesting is the idea that we are the sum of the 5 people that we most closely surround ourselves with. As I've spent more time growing as a young adult, I've found myself believing in this concept more and more. Perhaps not the idea of the absolute value of the number 5 or 6 or even 10, but rather that those whom you surround yourself with and those who share with you have an incredibly strong influence on your life. A few years ago, I found myself in a very transformative period of my life. I was transferring universities, moving out of my family home, losing and gaining friends at an almost identical rate, and felt like I had no sense of true direction that I was quite obsessed with finding. By what seemed like a coincidence, I met somebody who extended a generous offer of friendship with a relatively large condition, that I would come with them to church. At that present moment in my life, I would like to consider myself a fairly open-minded person, but 6 years ago, I don't think my 19-year-old self could have said the same, and even though I was curious about church, I was hesitant. Luckily for me, the only part of my personality that was stronger than my unearned sense of self-confidence was my inability to say no. So I started coming to church, and so began the process of having a new circle of 5 or 6 people I was most closely surrounded by, and a never-ending open conversation about Christ and faith. I very quickly learned something I desperately but unknowingly needed to learn. I alone am not enough. As you can imagine, I accepted this message with a resistance that was quickly overpowered by the love and honesty of those who now most closely surrounded me. Not only was I quickly learning my life's most important lesson to date, but I was also being immersed in a culture of giving and hope that I seldom found elsewhere. I was truly learning what a church was. Not a place or a building, but a community and a people. I found this to be wonderful, yet also challenging. As I fast forward to today, in the last few months of my life, I find myself again experiencing changes in almost every aspect of my life. I'm moving across the world to pursue a new career and further my education. My friends seem to be in a strange range between trying to squeeze every last valuable ounce out of a college experience and having children and getting married. And again, I found myself somewhere in the middle without the comfort of exact direction. Though now I have learned the lesson, and thing that I wish to share most clearly with everyone is that this feeling of being lost is simply God's way of leading me, while also demonstrating that I do not need, have, nor deserve to be steering the ship that is my life's path. In fact, it feels as though I am not even privy to the details of the map, but instead that I got on a bus that has no signs of slowing down and makes almost exclusively unpredictable turns. For a long time, I desperately wanted control, but the more I strived for control, the further I slipped away from a sense of self. And I believe God used this trend to show me my desired sense of self could only be found if I allowed Him to exist in me. I am letting go of what I think I should do, and am now letting Him show me the way. Instead of being obsessed with the destination of my unpredictable bus ride, I am beginning to embrace the journey and process of being filled with faith and being a servant of God. Challenging, but wonderful.